USA 6, Panama 2 in the second friendly of the November camp. It was about as CONCACAF as it gets in all the good ways and all the bad ways, and we are talking about it right here on 11 Yanks Breakdown. Okay, so before we talk about this game, we have to clarify that this was Panama's B team, okay? It's already Panama, and it was their B team. Now, this isn't the Panama that we're gonna face in Panama City because this was in Austria. So no bumpy field, no crazy crowd outside your hotel room all night banging drums, trying to make your life difficult. So in some ways, this was very CONCACAF-y, but in some ways, it wasn't really the full Panama experience. And yeah, a lot of their big players didn't play in this game. So yeah, winning 6-2 is always good, but it is just a disclaimer that that was Panama's B team, and we should keep that in mind. This was the starting lineup that we used. I was happy to see Nicolas Giaoachinni play as a striker instead of a false nine, so that was good news. The defensive pairing really had me baffled. Tim Ream and Matt Miyaza. Now, Gregg Berhalter said that he wanted to use these friendlies to try to get his first team together and give them reps together before crucial games next summer. Now, it's possible that he wanted to give John Brooks a break, and that's why he brought on Tim Ream. But in this whole camp, we didn't give a single minute to Chris Richards and John Brooks together, which is, in my opinion, the pairing of the future. I thought Panama would have been a perfect time to give Richards his first start and see how he does against some pretty low-level CONCACAF opposition. Now, it was this exact defensive pairing that goofed up in the 8th minute. A cross comes in from the left. Matt Miyaza gets caught ball watching, completely misses his man. The ball goes over his head, and he heads into the back of the net. 3 minutes later, Matt Miyaza, under no pressure, gives the ball away. He pretty much just passes it to the forward in front of him, right outside his box. And the only reason Panama didn't score a second goal was a lack of quality in the final third. Here's the thing about Matt Miyaza. He generally plays well for 90 minutes, but he's good for at least 1 or 2 serious goof-ups in the game, usually due to a lack of concentration, and that's troubling. He's been a pro for 7 years now, and the fact that he hasn't really cleaned that out of his game is worrying. We saw it against Wales when he charges into midfield and overcommits to the tackle, completely misses the ball, gets turned, and then has to foul the guy just outside the box to stop him from scoring. That was a big mistake by Matt Miyaza, and against a better team, that would have been punished. Now, from a team perspective, we stayed calm, we didn't panic, we started passing the ball around nicely, and our patience was rewarded. Yunus Musah, who has been a revelation in this camp, dribbled upfield, beating 1 or 2 defenders, and was fouled just outside the box. Who steps up? 18-year-old Gio Reyna curls it around the wall and into the bottom corner. 1-1. Now, Yunus Musah and Weston McKennie are very similar players. They can gobble up space with the ball at their feet, dribble at you through central midfield, bully you into submission, and they both demonstrated that very much so in this game. We really did bully Panama into submission. Now, very athletic players tend to do very well on the counterattack when they have time and space for their athleticism to shine through. But when you're facing a packed defense, I just wonder if we might benefit from having a more technical attacking midfielder, someone like Richy Ledezma who can pick a lock. That being said, our quality really did shine through. In the 18th minute, Panama gets a little bit too comfortable in possession around their own box. Weston McKennie fights a Panama defender for a ball. Gio Reyna picks up the loose ball, sends it out wide to Yanks, who takes a shot. The goalkeeper spills it, and Giaoachinni is there to tuck it away on the rebound. It's almost as if having a proper forward play as a number 9 puts them in the right positions to score goals. 4 minutes later, the ball pops out to Tyler Adams around the penalty area. Now, in these positions in the past, we've sometimes seen the US men's national team be very static and not always have players moving in and around to create space. But Weston McKennie, who for me was one of the best players on the field today, makes a beautiful diagonal run to the edge of the box. Tyler Adams finds him with a beautiful little through ball. He crosses the ball just before it crosses the goal line over to Matt Miyaza with a towering header right into space, and Giaoachinni in the right place at the right time to head towards net. 3-1 at halftime. Now, in the second half, Panama decided that they were going to try and press us higher up the field and make our defenders uncomfortable and interrupt our possession play, and they had us rattled. They really did. They won the ball in good positions, they had good opportunities to score goals, and even more interesting is that we started to rush our counterattack. So when we would win the ball, we would rush things, and that would lead to sloppy passes, giving away possession, and Panama would claim it again, and you could see the team starting to panic and lose our shape. And I think that's just part of being a very young team, is that we don't always have the maturity to understand the moment. Okay, this is a moment where we win the ball, maybe we hold off on the counterattack and we try to keep possession for a little bit, just try to reorganize, restructure, take the sting out of Panama, and then go from there. What we tried to do was rush the counterattack, and it didn't always come off, and we started facing some serious pressure. And then we win the penalty. Reggie Cannon, who was very, very good on the night, does some fantastic work down the right side of the box. The defender sticks his arm in the air and hands the ball, and it's a penalty. Now, from what I saw, Gio Reyna picked it up, but Giaoachinni wanted his hat trick, steps up, takes a very, very poor penalty. Now, I don't know if you saw it, but Gio Reyna throws his hands up in the air, all frustrated that Giaoachinni missed the penalty. And this is something that is a little bit worrying about Gio Reyna. Sometimes his attitude and his mentality isn't the best. Now, I'm sure that it comes from a desire to win and a desire to be dominant, but sometimes I feel he does need to put the needs of the team before his own and not get so visibly frustrated, because in CONCACAF, if they know they can frustrate you, they will. In the first half, they were swarming him the way that they do with Pulisic, making it very, very difficult for him to find space, and maybe that got to him a little bit, but there's a bit of prima donna about Gio Reyna. Now, he's only 18. Maybe that goes away as he gets older, maybe it gets coached out of him, maybe experience teaches him, but that is something that I want to keep in the back of my mind and just watch out for in the future. Now, in the 78th minute, Panama go up the other end and score, and it's Jozy Fajardo who gets the goal. Now, a loose ball was played in behind to Fajardo, and Reggie Cannon was playing him onside because Matt Miyaza had pushed up to try and challenge him. But what was really disturbing about this goal was that instead of going back to put pressure on him, all three defenders put their hands up to ask for offside. He wasn't offside. And it doesn't matter, guys. You go and pressure him, and maybe you might not have been able to block the shot, but at least you put enough pressure on him that he scuffs it, or he misses, or it becomes an easier save for Zach Steffen. The fact that the back line got so completely turned and then just gave up on the play was really, really worrying to me. I think that Tim Ream continues to be in decline. He's a good distributor of the ball, but he gets turned way too easily, and he's slow. And like I talked about earlier, Matt Miyaza has some problems with his concentration. On a positive note, we stayed calm, we didn't panic, we kept attacking and creating opportunities. Two substitutes, Richy, Ledezma, and Sebastian Soto, who in my opinion should have gotten way more time than he did. Richy Ledezma, despite being played out of position, puts a gorgeous cross into the box, and Sebastian Soto heads it home. Now, these two have an understanding. They were in the Real Salt Lake Academy together. They played for the US U20s together, and that was really, really good to see. 3 minutes later, we play a short corner. Reggie Cannon finds Sebastian Leggett, another substitute in the box, who heads home very, very well. But we're not finished yet. Richy Ledezma with another David Beckham-esque cross to the far post. Sebastian Soto sneaks in and scores his second header in 14 minutes. I really wish we would have seen more of Sebastian Soto. During this camp because I think he's a very good goal poacher. I talked about this in the preview to Wales. He's one of those guys that has an instinct for goal. He sniffs them out. He knows where the ball is going to be, and he knows how to move into the right position at the right time. So 6-2 is the scoreline. This was a very young team. We're learning, we're growing. I think kind of getting CONCACAF, there was a lot of heavy challenges, a lot of yellow card tackles. Weston McKennie maybe should have been sent off. But this is what CONCACAF is going to look like, and I'm glad that the players got this opportunity to play against a CONCACAF team. Now, even if there are no other positives that we can take from this camp, and there are many positives to take, the thing that I think is the most positive is that Gregg Berhalter has finally abandoned his 4-4-2 mid-block, which was soft, easy to penetrate through, and he's now instituted a 4-3-3 high press. We saw it against Costa Rica in January, we saw it against Wales, and we saw it again today. Now, against Wales, the high press, you could see what they were trying to do, but it wasn't very coordinated. I talked about it in the last video. But today, against Panama, we really, really saw it. It was intense, but it was also well coordinated. We won the ball back when they had it. But also, when we lost the ball, we counter-pressed right away. So it wasn't just about when they have the ball, this is how we're going to get it back. It was as soon as we lose the ball, we're going to counter-press them before they get organized and try to win it back. And so many of our scoring opportunities and so many of our attacks came from that exact thing. Pressing and counter-pressing. It's a huge positive to take. I'm glad that Berhalter has changed his formation. I was very critical of the 4-4-2, so I'm really, really happy to see this. And especially with a strong athletic midfield that we have, I think it's going to be very, very good on the press, and we're going to create a lot of chances that way. Now, the thing about friendlies is that you want to use them to try to answer questions both tactically and personnel-wise. Tactically, I thought we wasted a Wales game playing with a false nine for no apparent reason. I still have serious question marks about this midfield and the way it's going to play. We're going to have three very strong, very athletic midfielders who can do a lot of damage in a high press. But I am concerned about the very narrow play, the very central play. But I do think that really good teams will figure that out about us, and they'll pounce on that, and they'll make it very difficult for us. The left back conundrum still hasn't really been solved. I would have liked to see Antonee Robinson play again against Panama because we saw him against Wales, and in the first 20 minutes he wasn't very good, but he improved over the game. What I wanted to see is how does he do against a CONCACAF opposition, but instead we played Sergino Dest there. Now, I get it. Reggie was very, very good at right back, and Sergino Dest was effective in attack at left back. But he got done twice defending. The way he got done by Tecatito when we played Mexico. I think that Sergino Dest is a better defender when he plays on the right, and I'm a little worried about some of his defending instincts on the left. The other problem with Sergino Dest on the left is that he comes very central, which clogs up the midfield even more. And especially if you're going to play Christian Pulisic on the left, they're both going to be coming inside, and I just don't know if it's going to work or if it's going to create problems for us tactically. The other question I wanted us to try and answer in this camp is who is John Brooks' partner long term? I wanted to see Chris Richards. I wanted to see him at least play against Panama and see what he could offer, but instead we got Matt Miyaza, who gave me more questions than answers. I would also like to see Mark McKenzie and see if he's maybe somebody that could be John Brooks' backup instead of Tim Ream. Eric Palmer-Brown is somebody I really would have liked to see in this camp because he has a lot of the qualities that Berhalter loved, but for some reason, he wasn't called in. We still don't know who John Brooks' center back is going forward. On a positive note, we definitely have some options at forward. Sebastian Soto and Giaoachinni both showed they can score goals. They have forwards instincts. That's really good to see. Josh Sargent is somebody that's too bad he wasn't here because he's another great forward. In MLS, we still have Daryl Dike and Akinola, who I'd like to get a look at. There's, of course, Gyasi Zardes and Jozy Altidore and maybe Jeremy Obobise. I really think we have some good depth at forward now. We have some real depth at forward now, and all those guys fighting for a spot is exactly what you want. Talking about the camp in general, I think it was very successful. It was good to get all these guys in. Yunus Musah, hopefully he picks us. He got 2 starts. He looked really good in both games. I hope he picks the USA. I want to see more of him. Johnny Cardoso looks like a very capable backup to Tyler Adams, and that was really good to see. I think most of the players in this camp left with their reputations enhanced. We look strong, we look athletic, we look technical. I think we're going to be a very strong team for years to come if Berhalter can get his tactics right. All right, guys, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Let me know your comments about the game, and I will see you next Tuesday.